Hey everyone, welcome to the Grant Millard Show. This is a brand new content strategy and sequence of videos that I'm going to be making specifically to help you all figure out how to understand today's consumers, how to market businesses better, or help your clients, or make better sales pitches for you that are in the small business or business-to-business sales world. Simply because I want to practice what I preach. I meet with business owners every day, and almost always the conversation turns to about media or video or social media or whatever, and I always suggest make relevant content for the people who will utilize what you have to offer, and then they'll be able to trust you when they actually ask to engage in business with you. So I hope you enjoy the content. Today is the very first episode, so I'm going to be talking about a more general understanding of how today's consumers are thinking differently than they used to, and especially how smartphones and how things have allowed us to make decisions a lot faster, and even though they seem hasty, they normally pay off. So I'm excited. I hope you are too. Enjoy the content. Let's optimize. Okay, let's dive in a little bit to this. So, like I said in the intro, I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of how people are thinking differently about businesses today. And that really comes down to the decision-making process. There are a lot of things that people will think about and use to make a decision of which business to use when they have a particular need. And I want to tell you a little bit about where we've been and a little bit about where we are now and how we make decisions in those two worlds of the past and where it's heading and where it is today, and tell you a little bit about how they're the same and also how they're different. So the basic way you can really think about how consumers make decisions is they will use a business that they can find, that they trust enough to choose and interact with, and then one who's convenient enough to work with. And if those are the three things that you're able to accomplish as a business, then you'll get customers more often. And that hasn't changed. That was that way in the past. It's that way now. But the methods of which we go through the process of making that decision is very different today. So back in the day, how to find a business was a very specific process, and one that you had to be very intentional about. So you either had to remember, like rack your brain about who's local. So maybe you saw somebody on Main Street, or you worked at a place across the street from a place that offered what you needed. So like if it was a car dealer, for example, or better yet, a car repair shop. You would just choose the garage that you already knew about because you had seen it at some place. So there was like a memory that existed. You just, all right, I want to go to that place. Or if you didn't remember anybody, or you didn't have a person that you already used, if like you're a first-time customer, then you would have to either grab a phone book and like look through a business directory or a magazine, or you had to be reliant on like an advertisement in like the mail, or maybe even you're watching TV and like you write down the phone number real quick, or those types of things. But the point was that it had to be both intentional and it had to be like a planned event. Like you had to take action to make sure that you had the right information necessary. So there was a pretty long vetting process to some degree, because you went through all this trouble to find out what your options were, and your options were pretty limited. They were like maybe one, two, or two. Maybe three if you're able to find them. And then based on what you found, if you liked them, or if you liked what their ad had to say, or maybe they had a particular promotional offer, then you had a very, very limited understanding and knowledge about which business to choose. because all you knew about them was what you saw in the ad or what you heard from one friend, or or basically what, where they were online. Did they have a good storefront or a good like sign, essentially? But you didn't really know a whole lot about the business. So as a business owner, you had to either work really hard to promote yourself, or you just had to have an amazing reputation. And that was pretty much it. Take care of your customers, or have a really great ad campaign on like TV or the newspaper or whatever, or have a really big ad in the phone book, and that was pretty much all you needed to do, and then you would just get customers. And the reason why it was so easy was not because those are the only things you had to do, but those are the only ways that customers had the ability to experience who you were. And as a result, there were very small amount of things that we could determine what we would or why we would choose one business over another. It was based on the promotions or the reputation, and that's pretty much the easiest way to say it. And then based on that, if you answered your phone, that was being convenient to work with. If you didn't answer your phone, then you'd call somebody else. But pretty much answering the phone or being open when they showed up at the door, those are the two options that you have. So as long as those two things happen, you were pretty much easy to work with. And quite frankly, it was a really easy time to do business. Technology has disrupted all of that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But pretty much promote your business well, have a really good reputation, and if you have a really good reputation, then you might not even need to promote your business. And then take care of your customers when you get them, and that was business. And those things are still very relevant today, but they've taken a whole new approach. So today, and where we definitely see things going as far as our decision making is concerned, is we're becoming more and more reliant on technology. And we're not becoming reliant on technology because it's easy and we don't know how to do it the other ways or the harder ways. We're being reliant on technology because, for the most part, and I know this is an inconvenient truth for a lot of people, technology's been very reliable in helping us make decisions. And this is why. Number one, it is way easier to find businesses these days, because instead of having to rack my brain or go to a phone book or write down a phone number when I'm watching television, all I have to do is pull up Google on my phone, do a quick Google search, and it's going to give me, from my understanding, every option. Not just the ones that are promoting themselves, and not just the ones in the phone book, every option that I possibly could want. And then not only that, but when you do a Google search, we don't only have the option to see all the businesses. We have the ability to see what their reputation is without ever talking to a person, because their reputation's online. They're called reviews. And so Google they have a star rating, they have a number of reviews. I can read the reviews, so I can read very specific testimonials of the business. And I can even look at the bad reviews to determine whether it's a concern I'm going to have or whether it's something I can throw away. And so I can see a multitude of people's testimony to your business, and I can see what they're actually talking about. Not only that, but there are pictures there. I can physically walk into your store, so to speak, if you have enough pictures on there, without ever stepping foot into your store. And I can get a feel for the atmosphere, and I can get a feel for whether I'm going to feel comfortable if I come to you, or whether you have the types of products that I'm looking for, or whether you do the services that I'm hoping you do. And I can experience all that in a matter of seconds before ever walking into the store. So instead of only having whatever you promote and whatever reputation I hear on the street, now I have your reputation, I have the services that you offer, I have the even your own personal stories on your website. There's so much that I have at my fingertips, not just me, but everybody. So much we have at our fingertips to learn about you before we ever decide who you are, and it happens in a matter of seconds. And then how convenient you are to work with is not just whether you answer your phone, but do you have a Q&A section? Can I on Google? Like, did you actually answer the questions people have on Google? Do you have an online booking tool if you're a salon or a spa or a mechanic, or you work by appointment? Is your menu online as a restaurant? Can I see whether or not you have my favorite meals or the appetizer that my wife loves? And And all of those things come into consideration of how convenient you are to communicate with me, who you are, and why I should do business with you. So businesses now, and I know that was a long-winded approach to say, have the ability not only to make sure more customers find them, but now they're actually able to communicate why you should use them instead of somebody else. Because back in the day, all you had was your reputation and what you promoted. Today, you don't have to promote yourself. You just have to be available, and you have to communicate, and you have to be really convenient to work with. And if you do those things, which is be found, be chosen, be easy to work with, then you're going to get a lot more business. And that's why businesses, if you do a Google search for yourself, if you look yourself up online and you don't believe that what you see online is representative of what people are going to experience in person, then what they're going to experience in person becomes less and less relevant, because most people aren't even going to give you a shot. Because quite frankly, there have been very few times when I've done a Google search, chosen a business based on that search, and had an experience that was anything less than what I expected based online. Very few times. And Google is getting better and better at eliminating businesses from their search engine rankings that are less, or that don't have that experience. So those experiences are becoming less and less because Google keeps changing their algorithms and changing the way they do things and adding new ways for people to experience a business online before ever they walk in. And they're doing this over and over again just so that they're eliminating the number of bad experiences, and they're becoming more and more trustworthy. And so that's why today, if you are not paying attention to how your online presence is impacting you, then you are on a clock, really, to where your referrals start to dry up. I can't tell you how many business owners I've talked to today that where they've been in business for a long time and they know times are changing, but they're not willing to admit that it's their fault. They're not willing to admit that their online presence and their lack of attention to it is part of the problem. They just say, well, consumers just aren't buying the stuff these days. And I hate to say it, but that's not true. People are buying stuff, man. The economy is booming right now, and people are spending like crazy. It's still seasonal, as always, but there's a lot of opportunity out there. And then also don't listen to the myth where Amazon is killing brick and mortar. They are not killing brick and mortar. They are limiting brick and mortar. It's a different game today. But brick and mortar is far from dead, and quite frankly, Amazon's getting into the brick and mortar game because even 2-day shipping for some people is not nearly immediate enough. And then there are some things you don't want to buy online, like clothes or furniture or like specialty items, like that, gifts even sometimes. There are certain things you want to feel and see and experience before you buy them, and that's something that only brick and mortar can offer. And so so don't buy into a lot of the stigma that's going on today. Yes, consumer behavior's changed, but it's as much of a barrier it is for businesses today. It's so much more of an opportunity to make sure that you're actually able to communicate who you are to customers before they ever experience you. And then as long as you're working hard to make sure that you're being found because you're paying attention to how you rank on a search engine and you've hired somebody, or you're working to make your search engine presence more friendly, as long as you're making sure that you're communicating who you are so that your customers are choosing you more often, and then making yourself very easy to work with and very convenient to do business with, then you are going to do very, very well in this market across all industries. It's a universal principle, and it's one that I focus on a lot as I'm meeting with business owners every day. So if you are someone that feels lost in this world when it comes to how your customers are behaving, and you would like me to take a look at what you have going on online and make suggestions or even potentially help you out personally, I'd absolutely love to have that conversation. It's obviously no charge. So give me a call. You can reach me on my cell phone, 740-645-5371. Shoot me a call or a text, or you can also email me at gmillard, that's GMILLARD, at revlocal.com. That's REVLOCAL. Or send me a message here on social media, and I'd love to start the conversation that way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If there's a specific industry or a specific question that you have about digital marketing or consumer behavior, feel free to reach out to me or leave it in the comments, and I'll even make a whole video based on that if I get enough interest. So thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good one.